Hello and welcome to FPL Mate, your best mate for fantasy Premier League content for the 2020-21 season. My name is Dan and today I've got for you a Game Week 23 buy, sell, keep or avoid video where we're going to have a look at some potential transfer moves we might want to make in this Game Week. Who we want to sell it, who do you want to keep on to, you know, who's got the good fixtures coming up. We're going to talk about it all today, of course, and try and help you out with some of your transfer decisions. So, of course, if you do like this series, the flagship series of FPL Mate, please do make sure you give a big thumbs up. And if you haven't done already, please do consider subscribing as we go on this massive journey towards 100,000 subscribers. We've got to do it one day, guys. We've got to do it. We've got to do it indeed. But before we get into the video, a quick word from our sponsors today. And our sponsors are, of course, OneFootball once again. Now, for those of you who don't know what OneFootball is, it's a great app and website for all things football. Now, I personally use OneFootball as the mobile app because I don't know, I tend to use this kind of thing more on my mobile. I use my mobile, check the scores. There's a few situations recently where there's been multiple games on at the same time in the Premier League. So I can only watch one at a time. But if I want to check the scores of the other one, if I want to check the stats, you know, who's had the most shots, who's winning, who's on the pitch, who's getting substituted on and off, who's starting as well, who's actually on the field and what kind of formation the team's playing, it's useful during the games to have a look at your app. Have your phone there. You've got your TV in front of you, one game. Phone in the other hand, OneFootball. Easy peasy lemon squeezy. So very quickly, buys a players you probably don't have but should consider bringing into your teams. Sells are players that you probably have but you should consider removing from your teams. Keeps are players that you probably have and should keep. And avoids are players that you probably don't have but should avoid. Now, a very quick reminder, guys, the way I choose my keeps and avoids in particular is I go down the list of the most transferred players in/out. So if there's very popular players that are being transferred out a lot and I think you should keep them, they'll go in the keep category. So it's hopefully quite relevant to you guys. And avoids, again, it's players who I see a lot of people are bringing in and I look at that and I think, I check the stats. I don't know if people should be bringing in these players. So hopefully it's going to be helpful for you guys. But we're going to start off, as we always do, with some buys. So our first buy is Heung-min Son. Usually I would pick a player in buys that are not very popular. A player that not many people have got. Try and think of something that is at least slightly differential. We all know that Son is not. Most of us, okay, fine. The vast majority of us, okay, we have Son in our teams. But a lot of you guys will not have Son in your team. I know that for a fact. I kind of check out some of your teams from time to time in various places, Twitter, Instagram, this, that, and the other. And a lot of you guys don't have Son in your team, which is fine. But I think it might be time to correct that. You see, Son plays West Brom this game week. West Brom, as we know, are making every single team look like Barcelona from 2010 onwards to 2014, their prime days. West Brom make any team look like that. So Spurs, you look at their team, you look at their players. Who is going to be the Messi of this Barcelona team that everyone turns into when they play West Brom? And I think that player is Heung-min Son. I don't see who else it could be, to be honest. So there are some more reasons, of course, other than the amazing West Brom fixtures, because we can't just look at one fixture. But double game week in Game Week 26 is pretty much guaranteed for Spurs. That's looking really likely. One of, if not, the strongest potential double game week 2 will be for Spurs. So out of the teams that are going to have double game weeks or potentially can have double game weeks, it looks like Spurs are going to get the easiest one. So they potentially play Burnley. Well, they'll definitely play Burnley in game week 26. But then they'll play one of Villa, leaking goals at the moment, Fulham, who, you know, they've not been great, and Southampton. Now, they have really been leaking goals. So Burnley and then one of Fulham, Villa or Southampton. That is going to be the double game week for Spurs, should they get a double game week, which it looks really likely that they will. So that's really nice as well. So we've got the West Brom game, we've got double game week coming up. It's the right time to be getting a Spurs player. And if you're getting a Spurs player, who are you going to get right now? Who are you going to get? So last 5 game weeks, let's have a look at some stats, excluding the game against Game Week 22 game versus Chelsea, because I am recording this before the Spurs versus Chelsea game. You've got to keep things organised in this tight schedule. So 12 shots for Son, 8 in the box, 6 big chances, 2.65 expected goals. He's only got 1 goal, which is kind of unusual for Son. Usually he's quite clinical, and if he has high expected goals, he will either match that or beat it slightly. So this is a stat that we will expect that this will return to the mean a little bit. He will catch up with his expected goal stat, if you like. 9 key passes, 2 big chances created, 1.42 expected assists, and 2 assists. You can see there, in 5 games, his expected goals and assists is well over 4. So he's well over an expected 1 goal contribution per game. Per 90, I guess. Because, yeah, he hasn't played every single minute. He's basically guaranteed a return. Almost guaranteed a return a game if you look at these expected stats, which is exactly what we like to look at, isn't it? On top of that, he's got the highest expected points of any Spurs players over the past 5 game weeks. I know Kane has slightly beaten him for total points, actual points over the past 5 game weeks, but Son has the highest expected points, and that's kind of reflected in the fact that he's slightly underperformed, or very much underperformed his expected goals, which he will catch up on. Trust me, guys, he really will. So, like I'm saying, the Messi of the Barcelona team that's going to be playing West Brom is Son, right? It's 100% Son. There's no other Spurs player that I would be that confident in, to be honest, other than Son going into this game week. And then going forward, you know, Son is just a great option to have. So get him in your teams, guys. The next buy I've got for you is Rudiger, the bargain that nobody saw coming. Now, out of favour earlier on in the season, which meant his price dropped from 5 million down, all the way to 4.5 million now, which is quite crazy, really, isn't it? I can't believe he's so cheap now. And now you see he's suddenly nailed on. He's suddenly nailed on in this team. He's playing every single game week. Well, near enough every single game week. I think he's going to be a main starter for this Chelsea team from now on, particularly if Tuchel keeps playing this 3 at the back formation. I think Rudiger is going to be a solid part of that. And if he is, 4.5 million for a Chelsea defender, for a team that is playing, 5 at the back, fairly defensively, I quite like the look of this. Now, Chelsea defence has also become pretty differential. So most people, if you're an FPL manager and you own a Chelsea defender, who is it? Okay, it's Chilwell, Zuma, Reece James, maybe. These are the players who aren't actually guaranteed a starting spot anymore, particularly Chilwell and Zuma. I think Reece James might come back in on the right wing-back role instead of Hudson-Odoi. Maybe they rotate a little bit, but Chilwell and Zuma, they kind of seem in the mud a little bit right now, which means there's hardly any ownership in the Chelsea defence, which is a shame because Chelsea, they've got an amazing run of fixtures other than Liverpool and Manchester United, which is both likely to fall in the double game week of Game Week 29 anyway. Their next fixture is Sheffield United. They've got Newcastle, then Southampton after that. They're just looking really good for defensive fixtures. Their team is sort of setting up a little bit more possession, a little bit more defensive as well. I think there's going to be clean sheets here. So we kind of want Chelsea defenders, but the Chelsea defenders we have, we don't want them anymore. So who are we going to get? Rudiger is the guy we're going to get. So last 5 games, we'll do some stats. I know it's not as relevant for defenders, but 4 games played in the last 5 available matches for Rudiger. A couple of headed chances actually. He's got an expected goals of 0.33 in those 4 matches, and he also created 1 big chance. And he's got an expected assist of 0.5. That's not terrible. That's not terrible, So, yeah, basically what I'm saying, guys, is I don't think you should hop off the Chelsea defence just yet. I think we should be still wanting to have Chelsea defenders. And if you're going to get anyone right now, the guy to go for based on his price, 4.5 million Rudiger. You cannot go wrong. You really cannot go wrong at that price. That's insane value. Let's do some sells, and we'll keep the theme of Chelsea. We're going to talk about Chilwell because we know that Ben Chilwell is no longer a guaranteed starter. Now, I don't know what's going to happen in the Spurs game this evening. By the time you watch this, you've probably already seen the Chelsea versus Spurs game. Maybe Chilwell started, maybe he's not. But the fact that he didn't start last game week and Alonso did so well is kind of a bad sign for Chilwell indeed. I'm really not liking the look of that, particularly if Chelsea are going to line up with 3 at the back, with these wing backs. You'll kind of feel like that does suit Alonso a little bit more than it suits Chilwell. So, not really keen on Chilwell. And I do think even if he does play the occasional game, he's far from guaranteed start anymore. And even if he was a guaranteed starter, now this is the really interesting thing, even if Chilwell is playing every single game, he is no longer value for money. He can play every game and he still wouldn't be valued for money. So his stats, his underlying stats have completely dropped off. 0 key passes or big chances created in the past 5 game weeks. 0. Only 3 shots with 0 on target. His combined XG and expected assist is 0.09. That is very, very low. That is like pretty much the lowest you can possibly have unless you never touch the ball in the other team's half. For a fullback, for a 6 million fullback, we cannot hold on to a player like that. That's really, really poor value. Really bad indeed. 6 million, man. It's just too much. He's still over 20% owned as well, so I know a lot of you guys still have him in your team. I know I've got him in my team, and I know I need to get rid of him. I really do. Probably going to be my personal transfer of the week. Getting rid of Chilwell. Makes sense to just go straight back in on Zuma, because like I say, I do want to stay on the Chelsea defence. So, yes, I would say Chilwell, he's got to go, especially if he's benched against Spurs, which you'll know by now. If he has been benched against Spurs, get rid of him immediately. If he hadn't, then okay, maybe you can think about it, but I still don't think he's good value for money. I still think he'd be a sell either way, to be honest. Okay, we're going to have another sell, and it's going to be a weird one. You mean it's on your screen already. It's McCarthy, and yes, guys, I have put expected goals and expected assists on screen, even for a goalkeeper. Because I know, it's a struggle to fill up the page with stats on a goalkeeper. What do you talk about? What do you talk about with a goalkeeper? I don't know. I normally wouldn't recommend the transfer of a goalkeeper, but I do feel like you are sort of hemorrhaging points by keeping McCarthy in your team. It's not really good. I've been speaking for a while about how Southampton seem to be dropping off more and more defensively. And although the 9-0 loss against Manchester United was a bit of a freak, you know, that's not going to happen every game week, you know. It kind of has, you know, put a cherry on the top of this poor defensive run that Southampton have been going on. And are they going to change it around immediately? I don't think so. These are not things that change around immediately. We're going to be sort of seeing ourselves target Southampton a little bit. I think we really are. It's just not looked good. These stats, because of that Manchester United game, might be a bit skewed, but they still make for pretty miserable reading. So in the past 5 games that McCarthy's been available for, he has an expected goals conceded of 11.06. That's very high indeed, over 2 goals per game. And expected clean sheets of 0.92. So in 5 games, he's only expected to have kept under 1 clean sheet during a 5-game run. That's not good. And he's actually conceded 15 goals. So he's conceded more than what's been expected, which, you know, either suggests the shots have been from very clinical players or he's been underperforming as a goalkeeper. You know, you look at expected goals and how many goals a player got when they're an attacker, and you look at expected clean sheets, expected goals conceded, and how many actual goals conceded when you're perhaps looking at a goalkeeper. Now, McCarthy is making a couple of saves, but it's not been anything major. It's not been anything special. It is kind of like, okay, maybe we should switch out McCarthy for another goalkeeper. You know, Southampton, they just seem like they're dipping a little bit in defensive form right now. So jump off McCarthy. If you have no other big problems in your team, you're not sure where to put your transfer, that could be a good time to take out McCarthy. And I keep saying this, but my number 1 goalkeeper target right now is actually De Gea. It's not actually Martinez. If I was wildcarding, I'd probably put De Gea in goal. Other goalkeepers you might want to consider, Hugo Lloris is looking good, particularly if you're targeting those double game weeks and you're going to wildcard out of that, because you probably don't want too much money in your goalkeeper long term. I know a couple of people are looking at Edison, but I'm not sure if I go quite that expensive, to be honest. Just go for Man City defenders instead. They'll offer a little bit more value for money and get you more points as well. So there are options. Martinez, Mendy, De Gea, there's a few options. Just go for one of them, I guess. So on to keeps, and I'm going to surprise you with starting off with Zaha. Maybe I won't know. If you guys know me, this probably is not surprising you at all. But basically what I'm going to say is right when I record this video, and I'm keeping my eyes out, and I'll update you on Twitter or whatever as soon as I can. I've not found any information about Zaha's injury. Apparently we're not going to know quite yet. It's going to come out eventually, but it's not come out yet. But what I would say is wait until we hear his injury news. Unless Zaha is literally going to be injured for a month, then you may as well keep him. Now, he looked okay against Newcastle. He actually had a goal disallowed in that Newcastle game. His stats beforehand, you know, they were pretty impressive, but we kind of spoke about them last week. Zaha, he kind of, if he is fit, or even if he only misses, you know, 1 or 2 more game weeks, I think it's still worth keeping him because of these fixtures. You know, even if we have to, you know, play someone off our bench, if we've got strong benches, which I personally have got, or at least I'm building towards a pretty nice bench, and, you know, maybe some of you guys who are intending to do a bench boost very soon, maybe you're also strengthening that bench. Maybe you can afford to hold Zaha for just 1 or 2 game weeks. If it's more than that, fair enough. I would understand why you take him out. But The fact is that Zaha is a good small game player. He usually does well against easier opponents, and easier opponents was what he has. You know, if he comes back for game week 23, he's ready to go. That's against Leeds. We know what they're like defensively, and we probably know what Zaha can do. Then we've got Burnley, Brighton, Fulham, Spurs, which, okay, tougher. But then we've got West Brom after that. If Manchester United beat West Ham, he will also have a double game week in game week 29, and that will include the game against Fulham. So he'll have a double including Fulham, and the other team will be Manchester United. So Manchester United, by the way, they do concede a couple of goals from time to time. So basically, the fixtures look really good. He's the kind of player who will play well in these easier fixtures. He's kind of up there in terms of, you know, goal scoring. Maybe he's looking for the Golden Boot, or to be up there in the Golden Boot, Player of the Season, these kind of awards and stuff, in order to make a nice move for the summer transfer window. You never know. That might be on his mind. We know that Zaha probably doesn't want to stay at Crystal Palace for too much longer. So there's loads to consider, but he could be a really nice player to keep. And if you are one of the people who is patient enough to keep him, particularly if he only misses like one game week, I think you will reap the rewards long term. Okay, my next keep is Bamford, which has kind of surprised me. I was looking through the stats. Who are people selling? People are selling Bamford. Interesting. But I'll try and convince you not to sell Bamford. If it works, it works. If it doesn't, it doesn't. So, Bamford, 4 goal contributions in the last 2 games. That's why I think it's so crazy people are selling. So, in the last 5, 14 shots, 12 in the box, 3 big chances, 1.98 expected goals. He only got 1 goal, but he does usually slightly underperform that. 7 key passes, 3 big chances created, 1.75 expected assists. It's looking pretty good. It's looking okay. But it's looking more impressive when you consider that most of those stats were recorded in the game week 17 game against Spurs. He did blank in that game, but people thought, oh, he blanked, he must be doing bad. But actually, statistics showed a slightly different story. The 2 games after that, okay, Bamford, pretty poor. At that point, everyone was like, okay, we got to sell Bamford. We got to sell Bamford, guys. But then the 2 since then, the rest of the stats that are on screen that I've just spoken about, have kind of been recorded in the last 2 games, which is kind of implying a bit of a turn upwards in form. He's actually getting better once again. So, I do believe he's back now, back into form. Leeds, they kind of have some average fixtures in the short term, but they are a team in the league that is likely to have a double game week in game week 26. And then the benefit of this Leeds team is not only are they probably going to have a double game week in game week 26, but they're also not going to blank in game week 29. So most teams, if they're going to have a double in game week 26, it's because their game week 29 fixture is being moved into game week 26, and that's how they get the double. So they're doubling game week 26, blanking game week 29. But that's not quite the situation for Leeds, because their double in game week 26 would in fact be the rescheduled game they played. They were going to play against Southampton, which obviously was missed from the last double game week, much to my disappointment. So the double game week would be quite nice. The double game week in game week 26 would be games against a newly leaky Villa team, who are leaking a few goals at the moment, and then the newly very leaky Southampton team. So Villa and Southampton in game week 26 as a double, that's pretty good as a double game week. So that's kind of what we're looking at, likely to happen. Of course, we don't know for sure yet, but that's likely. If you don't have a wild card or free hit chip to navigate blank game week 29, you're going to want some Leeds players in your team, because it's going to save you the headache of getting doubles for game week 26 and then trying to scramble together a team that is not blanking in game week 29. It has the best of both worlds in there. And I know probably the reason why people are selling Bamford, despite his okay performances, is people are wanting to move to, you know, Antonio, Wilson, Watkins, maybe even DCL. Now, although I agree that you probably should be targeting Antonio, Wilson, well, probably not Wilson, but Antonio, Watkins, DCL, you probably should be targeting those players, but I do think Bamford to Antonio, Wilson, Watkins, DCL, that's a little bit of a sideways move, and I don't believe that those players are better enough than Bamford to justify taking out Bamford, and there's probably another area where you should make that transfer and just keep on to Bamford. That's just my opinion on that one anyway, so guys, hopefully you agree, but we'll see, won't we? I think we go on to some controversial avoids and see what you think about them. Let's go. So my first avoid is Mo Salah. I thought it probably would go without saying that this is not the best week to get Salah, but apparently not. And I know it's because it's Salah. He's a big Liverpool player. He has that massive appeal. People like him. And he did do well in Game Week 21 as well, didn't he? Although disappointed massively in Game Week 22. Game Week 21 might have been a bit of an anomaly in the sense of his high score. We know for a fact that when Mane doesn't play alongside Salah, Salah picks up the slack and gets much more goal contributions. That's kind of what happens. So, although we can say, oh, well, he was good a couple of weeks ago, I'm wondering how much of that was to do with the fact that Mane was missing. And when Mane is back, maybe Salah is gonna not be producing those massive returns. Remember, this is the most expensive player in the entirety of FPL. You've got to have a very good reason to spend that much money on a player, and I don't think Salah has provided that reason for me personally just yet. So he's kind of got inconsistent form. He's got the next game he plays is against Manchester City, which in my opinion, and looking at the stats, I'm probably not wrong here, that's like the best defense in recent Premier League memory, right? I can't think of a team that has conceded this few goals in this long run that Man City have had. They've had so many clean sheets all in a row. It really has been crazy. Now, I know why people are looking for Salah. It's because you have money in the bank and you want to spend it. You probably sold Son. No, not Son. You probably sold... well, you might have sold Son as well, to be fair. But you probably sold Kane. You probably sold De Bruyne. These are players you probably sold recently. These are two players I actually bought in recently who got injured the game weeks I brought them in. But we won't talk about that, guys. So you've got a lot of cash to burn. You got a lot of cash to burn and you don't know where to spend it. You're probably looking at the premiums thinking, which premiums am I going to grab? I don't know. Which ones am I going to grab? And I would say the premiums worth having right now are Bruno, for sure. Son. In fact, if I had Salah in my team right now, and I didn't have Son, I would probably sell Salah to get Son. So that's how much I'm not really rating Salah for this game week. So Son. We've got Sterling, might be worth having a little look at. Maybe, potentially. Maybe Rashford, if you're feeling very, very cheeky indeed. Or, you know, you could just wait and go for KDB or Kane when they're fit. They could be back in like 1 or 2 game weeks. You never know. You never know. They could be back really soon. So you could just save your money and wait till then. You don't have to buy Salah, even though he's not fully convincing, just because you have the money and you feel like you have to spend it. I don't think there's anything wrong with spreading your money about a bit, maybe buying some mid-range price players that are a bit more convincing. There's loads of mid-price players that are convincing right now. You know, you look at sort of Grealish, Maddison, Barnes, that kind of level of player, looking quite good at the moment, aren't they? And then, particularly if you're wanting to bench boost in Game Week 26, just spread the money out really, really evenly across your whole team, particularly if you're going to wild card after Game Week 26. Spread the money all among all of your players that you would have spent on Salah, bench boost in Game Week 26, and then wild card back to something a little bit more normal in Game Week 27 or 28 or 29. Who knows? Salah could be back to form then, and you could want to bring him in around that time instead. You still got your Salah later on, but you've got your nice, strong, spread out bench boost team for Game Week 26. It's just an idea, guys. It's just an idea, guys. Finally, we're going to finish off with John Stones. I know what you guys are going to say. Why would you not want John Stones? He's amazing. Yeah, absolutely. I have John Stones. I think he's quality. I will happily have him in my team. But would I be looking to buy him in this particular game week? No, I would not. And a lot of you guys are thinking about buying Stones in this particular game week. Now, I do still agree with City defensive double up. Absolutely. Absolutely go for it. Not this game week. They've got Manchester City have got Liverpool next. And then after that, Spurs in Game Week 24. In Game Week 24, City may actually have a double game week, which might change my opinion on this one a little bit. But, you know, but Stones is kind of a player who's slight rotation risk right now. A couple of fixtures in a row that aren't great. I do still think City will keep clean sheets. But there are kind of other teams that have a good chance to get clean sheets, or probably a better chance of getting clean sheets in coming game weeks. You know, I sort of mentioned Rudiger, who looks really good. West Ham, they've got two really nice fixtures for clean sheets in a row. And I agree that Liverpool are inconsistent in attack, but I don't think they are so bad that they're actively worth targeting for clean sheets. And that's what you would be doing with John Stones. You'd be targeting Liverpool, hoping for a clean sheet. That kind of goes against my intuition a little bit, to be honest. So not really the right game week for this move. Also, we've got the fact that John Stones is not a rotation risk. Basically, I just think if you really want John Stones, I think he's a good player to have. I do. Not this game week, though. Get this Liverpool game week, game week 23, get this Liverpool game out the way, behind us. We're then going to have a better idea of Stone's position within the City team. You know, City's formation, their tactics. Is Stones going to continue to be a regular starter if they play sort of with 3 at the back, Manchester City, or if they play Laporte as the sort of faux left back, depending on whether they're attacking or defending? How are they going to set up? Is Stones likely going to be starting? So we'll have that information after a week. We'll have a bit more information there. And, of course, we'll also learn if City have that double game week that I spoke about in game week 24. It's kind of likely that they will have a double game week in game week 24, but we don't know for sure. We will know by next week's deadline. So wait 1 week. Nothing wrong with waiting 1 week for this one, guys. And by the way, the game week 24 double is going to be against Spurs and then Everton. So it's not amazing, but it's not too bad. You would probably want you would want Stones for that one for sure, wouldn't you? But just hold off, guys. Be patient. Come on, guys. Let's go. So a quick conclusion then. We'll do a very quick conclusion. Son, he's going to have a worldy game against West Brom, so just make sure you have him. Probably captain him as well, to be fair. Leeds players, they're going to be really useful to have between game week 26 and 29. So unless you're planning on getting them back in before game week 26, probably just hold on to them. Unless you've got plans to take them out and then bring them back in later, just hold on to them, guys. Just hold on to them. And then finally, Liverpool players. I'm sorry, Liverpool fans, you're not going to like me saying this. I know you're not. I'm sorry, but we got to be realistic here. They continue to look a little bit unconvincing. So I would pretty much across the board avoid Liverpool right now, particularly with this game against Man City next. Just not really a good time to go for Liverpool players, I don't think. But hopefully Liverpool bounce back, because it's really nice to have a team with all these nice premium players. Hopefully we see some improvement from Salah, Mane, the Trent Alexander-Arnold and Robertson. We would love to see some value there, but I just don't think it's there right this very second. So there you go, guys. That's the end of the video. Thank you for watching so much. It's been a long one again. I don't know why I talk so much. I just can't help it. I just love FPL too much. Please do like this video, subscribe if you're new around here. In the links in the description, we've got a bonus one today. We've got my Discord chat room. So if you want to chat with me, it's now the Discord chat room, which used to be just for patrons only, is now free for everyone. So come and join me. Come have a chat. Loads and loads, hundreds of people interested in FPL already have joined me since I announced it on Twitter yesterday. So it's pretty exciting. It's just a great chance to talk to other people who love FPL, share opinions and stuff like that. So come and join. Link in the description. Yeah, completely free, of course. And then, of course, if you want to follow me on Twitter, Instagram, or join my mini league, the links are also in the description. Or you can join me, join the channel, or you can go check out One Football. So much to do. So much to do, and all the fun is in the description. Now, guys, I'm going to see you tomorrow for a team selection video. Wish me luck. It's been an interesting game week, as it always has been. We'll perhaps talk about Zaha. I will see you then, guys. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you later, mates. Bye-bye.